Hello learners, today I'm going to discuss on the Unit 2, that is sub-Unit 2 of Unit 1, that is 1.2, according to our syllabus, OU syllabus. So as you all know, I am Nurul Huda, Assistant Professor, who is dealing with the subject called Essence of Indian Traditional Knowledge for engineering students. So let me begin with my session. Yes, as you all can see, today we are going to discuss on the topic called culture, which is 1.2 of your course. So in this topic, we are going to look into the concept of what is the meaning of culture, nature, types of culture, kinds, elements, dimensions, functions, characteristics, and the differences between culture and civilization. So likewise, we are going to cover the topic today. So when we speak about the meaning of culture, so what do you understand by this term culture? So when we speak about the term culture, it is most a concept of social sciences and also a topic that we usually deal in the subjects like psychology, political sciences, economy, anthropology, sociology, and so on and so forth. Because culture is such a topic, such a concept that is an incorporated phenomena in the society. So that is the reason we find that culture is being a part of number of other subjects, and we find that how important the culture is. So when we speak about the etymology of the word culture, it is derived from the language called Latin. The actual term that was used in Latin was cult and cultus, as you can see here, cult and cultus. So which means tilting, cultivating. What do you mean by tilting and cultivating? Tilting means you are having inclination towards that culture. For example, you have Indian people are now adapting Western culture. So there is a tilting towards the culture. So culture, actual word is the meaning of the word is nothing but tilting or cultivating. As we can say, Indians have cultivated Western culture. Now, let us see what are the definitions. There are three authors that I have given here. One of the author I'm going to discuss here is North, C.C. North. According to him, he considered culture as a instrument which satisfies the wants of the people. And according to Taylor, he have said that it is a part of anthropologist because anthropology is the study of human life. So here we can find that culture is something that is a complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, morals, customs, and so on and so forth. So basically, every human, every member of the society is a part of the culture and they adapt certain cultures from the society. So in when we are talking about the culture on the whole, there are different kinds of culture. That is individual culture, which is completely specific towards the individual personality. Like for example, individual likes and dislikes. And then the second is the communal culture, the culture which is there for the community. Each community follow their own culture. For example, we have Facebook community, Instagram community, they have their own culture. Likewise, we have national culture. For example, if you see Japan culture is different than Indian culture. So every nation also has their culture. Similarly, when we speak about the world culture, the world culture is completely followed by everyone. So the world culture includes the phenomena or concepts like cooperation, sympathy, social service, social sensitivity, social awakening. Such things have been existing. Then there are different types of culture, that is material culture, non-material, real, and ideal culture. Now let us see what do you mean by material culture. Material culture is something that is there in the form of material. For example, when we give an example of mobile phone, okay, we can find that the communication में mobile phone is being used. So we can find that the mobile phone was very, the mobile phone culture has become very common today in the adolescent life, right? So that is the materialistic culture we have. Then non-materialistic culture. And when we speak about the non-materialistic culture, it is the culture that is followed in the form of values, like for example, vegetarian and non-vegetarian, or following the non-material culture which has the values respecting elders, respecting the young ones, maintaining good code of conduct. So that is a non-materialistic culture which you cannot see but it exists. Real culture is the culture that is exactly followed. Like for example, in India, what is the real culture? Or at your home, what is the real culture you follow? Is it contemporary, or it is very modern, or it is very orthodox culture? Similarly, we find the ideal culture. This ideal culture is very difficult to happen, because it is not possible to achieve ideal culture, but every society runs to achieve this ideal culture. Ideal culture is something that is that basically sets a benchmark. So there are different dimensions in culture. So there are three major dimensions. The first dimension is normative system. In the normative system, we find that it is a kind of social control. In a normative system, we speak about the social control in the form of sanctions, that this is accepted in this religion, this is not accepted with other. So the ethical norm sanctions that are there for respecting elders, how you respect your elders. It is also necessary to respect the young ones. So that is a sanctioned attitude that is being accepted. So in culture, we find this dimension to be existing. The other dimension that we see is culture has the expressive system. Every culture, you find that it is expressing itself in the form of literature, in the form of music, dance, art. So people tend to express themselves. So that expression is nothing but the dimension that exists in the culture. So our culture is also expressive in nature. Similarly, there is system of idea. Basically, the culture is having a system of idea which enables every member to be a part of it. Okay, because culture is setting a social order. It is clear stating a social system. Based upon that social system, every individual, every home is like a home is also an institution that is also following some system of idea. So culture is something that it has the system of idea. So these are the three major dimensions of culture that are included in understanding the culture. This is the now it comes the characteristics of culture. This is very important question that every time we have seen it has been asked in the examination. It's a long answer, definitely long answer. So there are certain characteristics of culture. So one first characteristic is culture is learned and acquired. Nobody is born with a culture, right? Nobody is born with a mobile culture, right? They have learned that, they have acquired that culture from the atmosphere. Similarly, culture is shaped by a group of people. Usually, as we say, school, classroom culture, you have teacher cultures, you have institutional culture, you have. So each group is sharing that same culture. So that is the beauty of culture, that it is shared by a group of people. Then third is culture is cumulative or transmitted. For example, when we go for the mobile phone, it has cumulated and it has transmitted it from one nation to the other nation. Cumulative in a sense, it is going to advance. When we speak about the culture of mobile culture, it is advancing day by day and it has transmitted from one nation to the other nation. Similarly, we have the fourth characteristic is culture changes and it is dynamic in nature. Because as we all know, culture is never static. It is always dynamic. For example, the way you wear the dresses. Before, the kind of dresses, the dress code culture was different from the previous era to this era. So there is a change always. So culture is always changing and dynamic. Then when it comes to the other factor and the characteristic, culture gives us a range of permissible behavior pattern. How to behave with the girls, how to behave with the boys, how to behave with parents, how to behave with the siblings. That is permitting our behavior. So culture is also having that ability to give a permissible behavior pattern. Next, we can find culture is diverse. For example, it is changing, it is diversity is very vast. From one home to the other home, from one individual at one family to other family individual is also changing. So it is diverse in nature. It is not only narrow or specular to the one person, or it is not peculiar, it is diverse. Then we have the other characteristic, that is culture is ideational or utility based. Ideational because it creates an ideal society. If there is no culture, then it is very difficult to have an ideal a society wherein human can live. So if you want to live as the human, if the human is living, there is a need of culture. So culture is something that gives you a utility and ideational characteristics. When culture is gratifying, culture is always helps us to gratify, be thankful, to understand, because culture makes us to realize what is there and what is not there. Then similarly, when we feel the last characteristics is culture varies from society to society. As we have seen different kinds of culture, from one society to the other society, the culture is varying. From one family to the other family also, the culture is varying. So societal wise also, the culture varies. Now, culture usually have some functions in it. So in the as a culture, it has certain functions. So what are the functions of culture? Functions of culture includes treasury of knowledge. Culture is considered to be the treasure of knowledge because every culture from the past till now, it has taken the world itself has seen so much of different vast differences in the culture. So culture is having a very great information, very important information as to how a human can live. So culture is makes us make a society to live in a peaceful manner and gives a greater knowledge. Okay, knowledge about how to do, what to do, when to do. All those questions will be answered because culture is like that. It is a treasure of knowledge, and it defines attitude, values, and goals. Every culture we can find that culture usually has the phenomena of it defines. Every culture defines that no, in this culture, women are treated this way, men are treated this way. They have this attitude, they have this goal to achieve. They have like for example, we have to achieve moksha. We have to be have certain set of values. We need to have certain attitude towards our elders, towards our sisters, towards our brothers, right? The attitude development, the value addition, the goal setup, all those have been again been one of the function of the culture. Then culture also defines the situation as to what is the situation that you have to do what in a ceremony. You have to follow certain culture, certain norms. That is being those cultures are situational based. Then culture also decides our career. See, for example, Muslim women cannot go for modeling, right? So that is deciding the career as well. Then it provides behavior pattern. Every culture provides a behavior pattern of as to what to be done, with how to be done, with whom to talk, like how the behavior of the person should be, how he should behave when he is a student, how he should behave when he is a teacher. Everything has been decided based upon the culture. So culture is also providing the behavior pattern. Along with that, in the last aspect, we can find that it molds the personality. If you are, we say no, a cultured person and an uncultured person. You hail from an uncultured family. We usually say this. You come from an uncultured family. What is that unculturedness? The personality that person is depicting is unculturedness. So usually personality is also being molded through culture. Now there are certain elements of the culture. It was given by Johnson. He have said there are four elements. First is the cognitive element. Cognitive element includes the knowledge that you possess. Okay. For example, cognitive element. Everybody, when like we have Brahmins, there are people who are having greater knowledge. Okay, they possess great information. That is the cognitive element they have. Similarly, in the culture also we find that this is existing, the possession of knowledge. That's why we give respect to doctors and we do not give respect to the housekeepers, right? Similarly, this is the culture that exists. This is one of the elements that is there. Then belief system. Culture also gives an empirical knowledge and testable beliefs of the culture, so of the religious. So culture is also having this benefit of belief system wherein it is not going to follow blindly, but they are going to adapt it according to the empirical information. Similarly, there are, the third element of culture is value and norms. So we can find that culture is something that is setting the norms, the values, how to be good, what are the standards that we have to behave, all those are set. And symbol. The culture is also denoting a symbol. For example, dove is representing peace. So here in the science, usually it includes symbols. So culture is also used, has an element of using symbols. Now, after understanding the concept of culture, now let us see what is civilization. When we speak about civilization, again, the etymological importance is it is derived from Latin word civesta, which means city. So basically, civilization is a device or an instrument that controls the society. Basically, it includes technical, material equipment, apparatus of economy, political background, for example, radio, school, currency, all these are the civilizations. So there are certain definitions given here. According to Golden Measer, he mentioned that civilization is identical with culture to refer to all the human achievements. But here we can find that civilization is the whole apparatus of life. It is not a part. Culture is a part, but civilization is a whole. Now let us see the differences between culture and civilization. Civilization has a precise standard of measurement, but not culture. Okay, for example, bank system. If you, the same bank system what is there in Andhra can be adapted same in Telangana, but culture cannot be adapted same as it is. It is not any measurement or any standards are given for culture, but for civilization it is given. The bank civilization, right? Next distinction is civilization is always advancing, but not culture. For example, the advancement of the technology. What it was before, it is advanced today. But what culture we followed as an elder, respecting elders, it is same followed as it is. Now, the other distinction. The product of civilization are more easily communicated than those of culture. Because civilization is something that you can write it easily, it can you can have the monotony, but the culture cannot have the monotony because it is diverse, it is dynamic. Culture has same monotony. For example, if you are talking about the business only or bank civilization, it is very easy to communicate. But when somebody asks about the culture of yours, they will not. It will not be easy to communicate. Okay. Next is civilization is borrowed without loss or change, but not culture. For example, as I told you, bank system, we are taking it as it is without any loss or change. The same methods are followed in Telangana. For example, HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank is there in all over the India, all over the world. It is borrowed as it is without any change. But culture, when we speak about the culture, we have Indian culture, we have Christian culture, we have Japan culture, all those cultures are there. So next phenomena here distinction is culture is external, but civilization is external, but culture is internal. External in a sense, they observe the things, they do the analysis, and they will understand what civilization is. But culture is something that is internal. For example, um, for example, usually we find that the culture of um, prayers, that is internal this thing. How you follow the prayer culture, how you follow the food culture, which is internal in nature. Similarly, the other distinction is culture reveals the nature of an individual or a social group or a nation, but not civilization. So that is what we don't say that civilization, bank civilization is completely for the Indian people, or it is from completely for Canada. No, we don't say. But culture is depicting the whole nation or a group of people. Like we have Indian culture, Korean culture, right? It is depicting the whole nation, but civilization do not depict like that. Now there is a yeah. So about this, there is a concept called culture of poverty in relation to. Yeah, with this, we have come to an end to our session. That when we speak about culture, it is the beauty of the world lies in the diversity of its people. Because the greater the diversities, the beautiful the cultures they are. So with this, we understood that how culture is important in our life and how it is playing a significant and a fundamental role in our day-to-day life. So with this, I conclude my session for today. So in the upcoming session, I'll be discussing with the new topic. Thank you so much. See you all in the coming sessions.